Hello, gathered friends. I'm Roar Nuva, and welcome to BIONICLE Deep Dive, where we analyze the tropes, characters, and lore of LEGO BIONICLE. So, spicy hot take, but Vezon did nothing wrong. No, I'm serious. Vezon did absolutely nothing wrong. He's not a villain, and in this video, I'm going to prove it. Let's dive right into it. Vezon was the terrifying final opponent of the Voyanui arc, the Seventh Piraka, and a terrifying half-Skakti who delights in chaos. All of these things are true. So, no doubt it comes as much of a surprise to you as it did to me that if we actually really look at his actions, Vezon did nothing that's truly evil. And if anything, it can be argued that he's a bit of a hero. All of his actions in the Voyanui arc can be justified due to him being the new guardian of the Mask of Life. He actively prevented the Piraka from getting their hands on it, which is undoubtedly a good thing. And yes, he did try to kill the Toa Inika, but that was literally his job as guardian. And the mask legitimately needed guarding. Was he terrifyingly brutal in his attempts to keep the mask from them? Yes, which is why he should never be given any substantial amount of power. But also, the Toa knew going into this that they would have to prove themselves in combat against the Guardians of the Mask, who were all there to ensure it never fell into the wrong hands. If Umbra can be considered not a bad guy, then so can Vezon. And yes, the reason he became the Mask's guardian in the first place was that he tried to take it for himself and got cursed, which looks kinda evil. But it was revealed in the comics that the Mask itself called out to him, and even made its other guardians stand aside so he could go down the staircase unopposed. He was literally invited in. Frankly, it's more like he's the victim of the Mask of Life in this case. I'm not even sure if he could have refused to fight if he wanted to. After the Toa Inika defeated him, Vezon supposedly tried to pursue them through the tunnels connecting Voyanui to Marinui, which is the closest he ever gets to acting evil. But we never actually see what he did. It was part of the unreleased Invasion novel. And we know he didn't succeed in getting the mask back. And can we really blame him all that much? Unlike the other Piraka, he wasn't chasing it for power or conquest. He just wanted it back because it was the only thing in his life that ever gave him purpose. Not good, but deeply sympathetic and not exactly malicious. And from this point on, literally every action he takes does in fact help the greater good. In Federation of Fear, Monocle's homage to Suicide Squad, Vezon is recruited along with other former villains by the Order of Matanui to rescue Mikuta Miserex, during which he never betrays the team, and does legitimately help them. He's also the nicest person on the team to the people around him. Now, his teammates didn't find it charming, but rather obnoxious and annoying, but also, they were all assholes. And unlike Vezon, they were all legitimately terrible people who committed horrendous crimes for their own gain, so I'm taking Vezon's side here. And then after that, Vezon is recruited again to help the Order of Matanui with their attack on the Makuta's headquarters at Destrol. It seems as if the plan was for him to pretend to betray the Order to get the Brotherhood to misdirect their forces, but then he claims that instead of pretending to betray them, actually doing it would be way more fun. Now, due to him being both legitimately insane and also a terrifyingly competent 5D chess master, it is actually unclear whether or not Vezon actually betrayed the Order of Matanui, or if he was actually going along with their plan and helping them. But given that the Order's attack plan did work, Destrol was kept from teleporting and Mikuta Tridax was dead, there's an argument that even if he broke from their original plan, his actions still gave them the edge they needed. And he most certainly wasn't helping the Brotherhood. At worst, it could be said that he was trying to get Brotherhood secrets for his own power. Which he does attempt. The Order of Matanui definitely didn't want him getting his hands on a mask of dimensional gates. But then, when the mask gets fused to him and he becomes a walking interdimensional portal, he continues to not do anything wrong. I mean, he definitely gets into shenanigans, but the first thing he does after controlling his powers is to save the people who Pterodax ejected from the Matorn universe from dying in space. Now, okay, If we were to consider Vezon to have been involved in the numerous crimes that Vezok committed before they were split into separate entities, then yes, he did many things wrong. But if we were to consider Vezon really only coming into being as his own person at the split, then we should consider only his actions from that point onwards. It's interesting to note that while Vezon does retain memories from Vezok before the split, he very much does not consider that to have been him. Now, the nature of the split is one of those things that have always puzzled me, because it kind of doesn't make complete sense. Vezok was hit by the Spear of Fusion and split into two beings, but one of them completely maintains his appearance, powers, and sense of identity, and for the most part appears whole. Meanwhile, Vezon looks completely different, very much like an incomplete Skakti, has none of their powers, and his sense of self is totally different. You'd think it would split them more evenly in half. But it feels like Vezon is a half, but Vezok is still mostly a whole, albeit missing things from his old personality. And that actually feeds into their goals for each other if you think about it. Vezok wants to refuse and get Vezok back inside of him, while Vezon wants to be free forever, and to ensure that, wants Vezok dead. If we were to look at him from a utilitarian perspective, Vezon can arguably be considered good, because he always causes way more help to the universe around him than he does harm. Now, am I saying he's a good-hearted person? No, absolutely not. He acts completely in his self-interest and is clearly capable of doing horrible things to others if given the chance. None of the quote-unquote good things he did were motivated by the kindness of his heart. He was either being threatened into doing them or offered something in return. But that doesn't necessarily make him bad. Honestly, that just makes him kind of neutral as a person. While he absolutely will hurt people, he never goes out of his way to do so. And he never attacks an innocent at any point in the story. He is a perfect example of an amoral, chaotic neutral, only interested in doing what he wants, but not actually doing anything wrong. It's also genuinely hilarious how this character managed to seamlessly transition from being the terrifying big bad final boss of his arc to being one of the funniest comic relief characters in the series. And the realization that he never actually did something unjustifiably wrong just makes him all the more lovable in my eyes. Like, he's legitimately a very nice, funny, if mentally unhinged guy who just wants to find purpose in life and maybe cause a little chaos here and there. It's very clear Greg Farshey loved writing him, which is a good thing because I loved reading him. Part of me likes to dream about a fanfic adventure between him and Takanuva, where the two of them go on an interdimensional buddy road trip to all the universes that Takanuva found on his journey, or maybe to return the Shadow Takanuvas to their home dimensions. I think it would be really fun to see the 7th Toa and the 7th Piraka on an adventure together. You know it's going to get wild when Takanuva is the voice of reason. But that's my take on Vezon not actually being a bad guy. What do you guys think? Do you also believe Vezon wasn't actually that bad, or do you still see him as a villain? And how do you feel about his transition from his terrifying first appearance to his more comical later ones? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care, my gathered friends.